to grab it here. Whew, it's been a long day, long heavy day. But what's better than having some banana pie and a bunch of servers? So let's get into it. So you're kind of like browsing along seller sites looking for your next home kit purchase, and then you run over this one, run into this one, and this is an HP ProLiant DL580 Generation 9 server. And this is the only picture they provide. And then of course then if you scroll down way down to the bottom of the web page, then you have a list of specifications. So what I'm going to present here is what you should look for, and why this picture is misleading to a certain extent, and what should have been provided in a more visual format. So let's get started. So anyway, to make this presentation a bit clearer, I'm going to use the QuickSpecs for the DL580. So I'll put the link in the comments if you'd like to download it yourself. Let's scroll down, and here we have the equivalent picture from the front. And so the 13 and 12, that's just the USB ports and the video out on the front panel. And then on the right hand side, number 4, you have a slide out kind of a card where there's lots of LEDs on it. So it basically will give you a status LED for each hardware component in the system, and tries to like show if they're green, if they're okay or not, and that can be hidden in a slot. And then you have the top drive bays, and what's misleading in the picture, and also this picture, is that as you see, this is populated with hard drives, but the most common version of this server is that it actually doesn't have a backplane. So you'll find a lot of sellers, when you actually look, they will actually say it's only got 5 drives, because this top drive hasn't. And the reason for that is that you actually have an option as a customer to choose. You could have populated this top level with exactly the same backplane as you have on the bottom, which means is normal SAS solder drives. Or you could have purchased a native NVMe and controller combination to populate the top drive set. However, that's extremely rare. I have not found very many examples of it, so I think that it kind of basically I think it died because now you have SATA SSDs that you can plug in. So I think that it had a very short market area of success. So at least I haven't been able to find it used. And then you have 4 very powerful fans in the center here. And if we have a look at the back, and just as a comment, you have one is the serial connector, and then 2 is also, you have that's the video out. So now in this picture, that's 4 power supplies, and for this, as far as I've read the documentation, if you would like this system to be power redundant in terms of power supplies, you actually need 4. So the minimum to run this server is 2 power supplies. That's my understanding, and that's one thing I'd actually like to test. It. If you only have 1 power supply plugged in, will it actually start? But that's my interpretation of the theoretical specs. And then on the left-hand side, number 8, you have this flexible DOM. Which actually, that's a module, so you can have several different types. It might be SFP modules for fiber, or different types of Ethernet variants. Or so when you buy it from the purchaser and you don't have a picture in the back and the specs are unclear, then you actually don't know what flexible DOM you'll get, or if you'll get any, which is not such a great thing. And then you have an ILO 4.0 Ethernet connector, which is the number 5. if we have a look at the insides, and here it's where there's also why one would like to have an inside picture to make things clear, is that this server uses a concept that you have memory cartridges, and there's 8 of them here, and inside the memory cartridge you actually put the memory sticks, and there can be 12 in each of these memory cartridges. So when they actually, the seller says that it does not have any RAM, so it's 0 RAM, what they also usually mean is that there are no memory cartridges. And if you're not careful, you'll be paying a lot of money for these memory cartridges, just the physical memory cartridge. But I was lucky enough to, if you spend a lot of time looking around, you will actually be able to find, like for maybe $15 each, you'll be able to find a memory card. So that's a detail that one needs to focus on. And then this, it has a place for 4 processors, so they'll usually tell you how many processors it has. One hopes that one gets the number they say. And there's a little bit of it does have a battery pack, but this is such a new generation of server that actually in most cases I think those batteries will be okay. It's for the RAID system. And here you have, which is very nice, is that it has 9 full-size PCI 3.0 slots, and generation 3 slots, and plus there's a auxiliary power output here, so you can actually bring power to the cards. So that's actually, yeah, one of the main reasons I would actually like to go to this, that gives the option to play around with these expansion cards. And let's see, that I was going to, yeah, we could actually, yes, exactly. We can have a look. I'm just going to find the table quickly. Yeah, so it does have a lot of different types of CPU configurations, and usually what happens is that when sellers get these machines, and it would be populated with some of the more faster CPUs, then they will automatically swap them out to slower ones, because they won't be able to get the money if they're in the server. So they'll sell these separately, the faster CPUs. So usually you will be like 2.2, 2.1, 1.9 gigahertz. But I mean, that's okay, because then the actual power consumption is lower, and for a HomeKit system, it's actually, I think it's actually nicer to have a less heat production, and yeah, less power consumption when I'm running. Like here, it's 115 watts versus 165 watts. So that's actually, so it's a consideration to take. We have to just understand that, okay, what CPU have they? If they say they have 4 CPUs, then well, what CPU is it? And then it's actually good to look at this table and find out, okay, if you're concerned about power usage, then you can see it's one of the high power CPUs, or what is it? And back to the memory cartridges, they need 2 memory sticks per memory cartridge for that to work. So a minimum of 2 sticks. And that makes it, when you're trying to like get an initial amount of memory for 4 CPUs, then you need 4 cartridges, and then in each cartridge you need two sticks, and that kind of makes you need to calculate, okay, how much money out are you prepared to pay? Because then I could actually show, just a sec. I need to look at the total memory, if I can find it at a very useful. Coming up soon, I hope. It was configurations. So long, far down. I don't know why that. put it so far down. As you see, this has actually, yeah, one thing I was going to mention, this has actually a sick amount of different accessories and expansion stuff of various kinds. Here, fine. So here's actually, if you go down nearly to the last page, then you will actually see that you'll see the you know, how much memory capacity, what are the DIMM capacities, and then the native speeds that are supported, and then what's the maximum capacity in gigabytes. So you see here it's like 6 terabytes of RAM maximum you can put in the machine. Well, that's with, then you have to use 65 gigabit sticks. That gets a bit expensive if one. So, but I mean, I'm thinking maybe over the years DDR4 will get cheap enough, which it will, because this is just junk stuff. Because there's going to be DDR5 and 6, and it's going to come into it. So anyway, I just thought I'd show this table so you can actually see how much, you know, the different memory configuration. But it's mainly this. Keep an eye on this speed. Don't buy stuff that's faster than that, and make sure you buy server RAM. So that's the key. Even better if you can buy RAM that's stamped with the DL580 G9. So let's go up again. I could actually show that also. A bit of scrolling if I can find it quickly. So here's like this about the special expansion backplane for the it's called the Express Bay kit, and this here, that's for if you want native NVMe bus support, and it's this part number. But I must say I haven't been able to find it. You can find the backplanes for the, which is similar to the backplane used at the bottom, very easily, and they hardly cost that. They're like $35. But make sure that if you buy a backplane for the top, make sure that you buy from a seller that also has the cables in the picture. You need to have a data cable and you need to have a power cable. Because it sucks if you just order on a picture which doesn't have any cables, and then you get the backplane home and then you don't have the cables. And then you have to go buy the cables separate. So that's not so great. And one of the experiments that I'm going to be running is that if I put in one cartridge and 2 sticks of RAM, does it start up all the CPUs or only one of them? Theoretically speaking, these memory cartridges are connected to the CPUs, so they're like bound together, like these two are. For the first 2 are connected to the first CPU, and then the number 3 and 4 are to the next one, and so forth. But in the documentation, it's very vague on exactly what happens if you, at least in my investigations, if you insert only, if you have installed 4 CPUs and you put in one memory cartridge with 2 sticks, then what happens? Will it start, or will it scream, or will it just be dead, or it's actually so. If you're interested in finding out what's going to happen, then follow me on the next one. So anyway, I thought that was a brief rundown of some of the key points when you're about to launch to buy this, and the pictures are left imperfect, and then you understand when it says 0 RAM that you actually quite probably don't get any memory cartridges either. So in this server it matters. Like when they say 0 RAM, then it would be nice if they mentioned if you actually have the memory cartridges or not. And I think a seller would be very unlikely to, if they say 0 RAM, that they would actually provide memory cards, because they can make quite a lot of money out of the memory cards. But if you're careful and you spend the time, you can find memory cartridges that are quite reasonably priced, and usually they sell them in lots of larger than just one, so you can't buy one. Then you need to buy like 10 or yeah, some weird. Actually, don't understand why a seller packages them up in a package of 10. Why would you need 10? You put 8 in one server, so what's the point? Or maybe it's just the thing that they lower the price so much with the 10, and it's an equal number or something. Then they're easy to divide the price, and then you can see, oh, this is really cheap memory cartridges, and then you just like buy it from that perspective. But anyway, you would have 2 spares then for one server, so that's not horrendously bad. And then you can officially populate this. If you have 4 CPUs, you can put in 4 memory cartridges with 2 DIMMs each, and that's official. That'll work. So there's no problem there. So if you buy a batch of 10, then you can populate 2 servers, 4 in each, and then have 2 spares. Which of course makes sense. I don't know how reliable they are. No experience there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one, and happy hunting, and see you in the next one. Hopefully with some servers.